Now, Lenny, you seem like a happy chappy.
What's the point of being cerebral?
Well, there are many things that could make you feel down in the dumps, a phrase that means unhappy. But what are the things that keep you feeling happy, cheerful, and chirpy, Lenny?
Many things like being healthy, having good friends, presenting program like this with you, Malik.
Of course, but we all have different ideas about what makes us happy, and that can vary from a country to country and a culture to culture. It's what we're talking about today, concept of happiness.
Now, Malik, you could make us even happier if you gave us a really good question to answer.
Here it is. Happiness is an emotion that actually gets measured. The word happiness report measures subjective well-being, how happy the people are and why. But do you know, according to a United Nations agency report in 2017, which is the happiest countries on earth? Is it A, Norway, B, Japan, or C, New Zealand?
Well, I think they're all happy place, but the outer life of many New Zealanders must have New Zealand the happiest place.
Okay, we'll see. I'll reveal the answer later on. But now back to our discussion about happiness around the world.
Happiness can be hard to define. Research has suggested that while personal feelings of pleasure are the accepted definition of happiness in Western cultures, East Asian cultures tend to see happiness as social harmony, and in some part of Africa and India, it's more about shared experience and family.
It's something author and journalist Helen Russell has been looking at. She's even created an atlas of happiness. Her research focused on the positive characteristic of a country's population, and guess which country she found to be one of the happiest.
New Zealand?
Actually, no, it was Japan. Here she is speaking on BBC Radio 4's A Woman's program. What concept or belief is it that promotes happiness? Millennials and perhaps older people are remembering wabi sabi, this traditional Japanese concept around celebrating imperfection, which I think is something that's so helpful these days, especially for women, that it's this idea that there are a beauty in aging. It's to be celebrated rather than trying to disguise it or trying to cover up the scars. To cover up the scars, instead you kill them with cancer. If you break a pot, instead of chucking it away, you mend it with gold lacquer, so the scars, rather than being hidden, are highlighted in pure gold. We all have laughter lines, and rather than being ashamed of them, there's something to be celebrated.
So in Japan, there's a belief that people should celebrate imperfection. Imperfection is a fault or weakness. So rather than hiding something that is not perfect, we should celebrate it.
Getting old, for example, is not something to be ashamed of. Don't hide your wrinkles or laughter lines. These are creases you get as your skin ages, or even you get from smiling too much.
Rather than spending time being ashamed of our faults, we should accept what and who we are. This concept is something that Helen feels so particularly being celebrated by millennials and older people.
Yes, and Helen compared this with a process of kintsugi, where the cracks or scars on broken pottery are highlighted with gold lacquer. This is called gilding, so we should highlight our imperfections.
This concept is something that maybe English people that should embrace more because, according to Helen Russell research, they are not very happy population. Here she is speaking on the BBC's Woman Hour program again. What word does she use to describe people like me and you?
In England, what we have is jolly, which many of us have associate with this kind of hot dolly hockey sticks, or as I've made perhaps an upper class thing, but actually it's something that really plays through a lot of British culture in a way that we may not think of so much. So there's this sense that in a lot of our comedy, in a lot of our approach to life, you just sort of you get up there and you go for a dog walk and you have a void of boiled egg and soldiers, and we do sort of get on with things. It's a coping mechanism. It's not perfect, but it's worked for many Brits for a while.
In the past, we would use the phrase jolly hockey stick, a humorous phrase used to describe upper-class schoolgirls' annoying enthusiasm.
But Helen now thinks jolly describes an attitude that is used as a coping mechanism that something or someone has to deal with a difficult situation. We smile, we do everyday things like walking the dog and just get on with life.
I guess he means carry on with the complaining.
Well, here's something to make you happy, Lenny. The answer to the question I asked you earlier, which was according to a United Nations agency report in 2017, which is the happiest country on earth? Is it A, Norway, B, Japan, or C, New Zealand?
And I said, C, New Zealand.
The answer is A, Norway. The report has been published for the past 5 years, during which the Nordic countries have consistently dominated the top spots. Okay, now it's time to remind ourselves of some of the vocabulary we've mentioned today.
We mentioned the phrase down in the dumps, which is an informal way of describing the feeling of unhappiness, sometimes with no hope.
The next word was imperfection, which is a fault or weakness. You won't find any imperfections in this program, Lenny.
Glad to hear it. Maybe we should get this script. To gild something is to cover it in a thin layer of gold. You saw heard about the word jolly, which means cheerful and happy.
And being jolly can be used as a coping mechanism that someone has to deal with a difficult situation. If something doesn't go well, you just smile and carry on.
Yeah, well, there's no need to do that in this program. Now, there's just time to remind you that we have a website with lots of more learning English content. The address is bbclearningenglish.com.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.